Today I'm going to make a video that I don't really want to make. I don't like whiny, complainy videos. I don't like to talk bad about people, but I feel that this is important to get out there so that way you as a consumer know and you as dealers know my experience with Husqvarna as a dealer. So full disclosure and disclaimer here, this is my opinion, this is my experience. Take it with a grain of salt if you want. Find out for yourself if this is true. I hope you don't find out the hard way like I did and get completely screwed over by Husqvarna and then basically given the finger every time I try to reach out to their corporate office. Those of you that come into the shop know that I do every single thing that I can to take care of my customers. I want to make my customers have a good experience. I want to represent the brands well that I carry. And if there's ever an issue with the product, I do everything I can to resolve that in a timely manner, in a professional manner, and satisfactory to the customer. Not every situation's perfect, not everything ends well, and in this particular case, it's really left a bitter taste in my mouth about Husqvarna. I've been a Husqvarna dealer for roughly about 6 years. I've carried steel products, Husqvarna products, some other vendors as well. Up until last year, I never really had a super bad problem with Husqvarna. There was always a bunch of stupid little stuff that happened, mainly in their tech support. Tech support on Husqvarna side, from my experience, has been completely worthless. You're better off Googling the answer or looking up a YouTube video because you can actually get somewhere with it. Anytime you call tech support, I usually do it online, do the online chat. You can tell they're reading from a screen. They don't really know what they're talking about. And the suggestions that they have are really elementary that most people with the background in small engines that work on this stuff on a daily basis have already checked, number one, or it's something that's completely irrelevant to the repair, so there's no need to test it. A perfect example would be like starting a piece of equipment. If you're having a problem with a carburetor and let's say you want to know what the adjustment is, you might call tech support or message them online, and the first thing they're going to do is ask you if you've done an engine check, if you've checked the compression on the unit. Well, if I know that I've narrowed it down to a carburetor, there's no reason why I need to do anything else on there. If I'm asking for a carburetor settings or something like that, you should be able to give it to me. But for some reason, they have a sheet that they read from a computer apparently, and everything that they do on there is step-by-step stupid. It doesn't make any sense. If I'm trying to find a part on something, quit reading from your screen. You should have trained and qualified technicians that know what they're talking about. Being a steel dealer, I don't ever have that problem with steel tech support. I can call somebody on the phone, talk to them, and most of the time they don't even have to look stuff up on the computer because they just know. They're well trained, they're well versed in what they do, so props to steel. But as far as Husqvarna goes, I've never been impressed with their tech support. So let me roll into this little story and explain why I am completely disgusted with Husqvarna. I had a customer buy a Husqvarna 562 XB chainsaw from me about a year or so ago, and at the time of purchase he bought the pre-mixed Husqvarna fuel. So those of you that are familiar with this, you buy the fuel, you get an extended warranty on top of what the normal warranty is, and the customer bought the fuel along with the saw. Fast forward a few months later, customer came into the shop saying that the saw wasn't running. Put the saw on the bench, do what I normally do, go through and check everything. And when I took the muffler off, I noticed the piston was scored. So the first thing I asked the customer was what kind of fuel that he's running through his equipment before I went and told him what I had found on the saw. He had told me that all he had ever run through that saw was the Husqvarna pre-mixed fuel, and he's only had a few hours on the saw. So that was getting me to question why there was scoring on the piston. Anytime you see exhaust scoring, it's going to be a lean run issue. So obviously that would be lack of oil in the fuel mix, no oil at all, mixing it wrong. You could have carburetor problems. on the 562 that has Husqvarna's auto-tune carburetor, so that's going to be a self-adjusting carburetor, so I didn't have to worry about the customer messing with adjustment screws on there. So after determining that more than likely the XP fuel that was run through the machine had a problem, the first thing I did is reach out to my territory manager and ask him how I was supposed to file a warranty claim. Since this obviously wasn't a manufacturer's defect on the unit, it wasn't an end user's problem as far as them neglecting it or damaging it. It was caused due to the fuel that was run through it. My response from my territory manager was that he's seen several times where the Husqvarna caps have actually come loose on the old style fuel cans. And what happens is once that seal breaks on there, the fuel only has such a shelf life of, roughly about 1.5 to 2 years on it. And if that seal's broke and the fuel's sitting on the shelf, it eventually is going to expire and you're going to have problems with it. So that could have led to the issues with the saw. So he instructed me to file a good faith claim on the saw, which I did. So I contacted the warranty support through the online portal. I filed it as a good faith claim and explained the situation to them. And a day or so later, I had the claim rejected. So again, I reached out to my territory manager and asked him what I was supposed to do. He again instructed me just to reach back out to tech support and do more explanation on the unit, which I did. In response, tech support told me that I needed to provide documentation and pictures. So I ended up tearing the top end off, showed them what was going on with the piston damage on there. They wanted me to run a bunch of stupid, silly tests, pressure vacuum tests and stuff like that. Obviously, we were talking about a fuel issue, so I wasn't worried about air leaks and stuff on there. But needless to say, I went and did pictures. I spent a whole bunch of time doing all the little circus show that they wanted me to do. I sent everything off to them. Then they kicked back to me that they needed me to hook my machine up to the computer and run the diagnostics on there. So I went to hook the computer up to the machine. And so when you get on the Husqvarna platform with the machine hooking it up to the tech tool, it'll tell you at the top the machine that's hooked up to it. It'll tell you the serial number of it. It'll tell you the unit, all that good stuff. And then it'll go through and it'll have different folders and stuff showing you like the run times on the machine and stuff like that. Well, on this particular saw, it would show what unit it was, the serial numbers on there, but I couldn't get it to show out anything else. So I forwarded that information on to Husqvarna and said, hey, I hooked the unit up to the tech service and it was having problems downloading all the features on there. And then Husqvarna basically told me that they needed to have all that information or they couldn't process any kind of warranty claim. So obviously we have some issues here. Obviously you can see that I hooked the machine up because it's identifying the unit, it's identifying the serial number of the unit, and the service program just was not working. So that is a Husqvarna problem, that is not a me problem. I took screenshots and sent that all to them, so they had all that information. And I explained to them again that their diagnostic software program was having some issues. So I uninstalled it, I reinstalled it, and it was doing the same thing. So again, I reached out to my territory manager, which is my first point of contact with the company that I'm always supposed to reach out to, and explain the situation to him. He told me that he would deal directly with tech support and give them the information, explain to them what had happened, and make sure that the saw was taken care of because he believed that it was a fuel-related issue with the Husqvarna pre-mixed fuel. So weeks went by, I contacted him and said, hey, where are we at with the saw? Oh, we're working on it. We had the hurricanes in North Carolina. It's ate up a lot of resources. Haven't had time to connect with the tech service manager. I'm like, fine, whatever, just showing him some grace there. More weeks went by. Keep contacting my territory manager, asking him what's going on with this saw. He says, go ahead and send me, whatever it costs to have you do the top end. So send me an invoice for the parts, which I did. and then filed a claim for my labor, the money that I had spent and the time going through diagnosing the unit and putting the new top end on. So I did that as well. Weeks went by, still nothing from tech support. So I contacted him again, ignored. Contacted him again, ignored. Called, texted, emailed, ignored. So then, I don't know, a couple months later, I reached out to his supervisor and explained the situation. He promptly called me back the day later after I emailed him, explained the situation to him. And he proceeded to tell me that part of this problem with the tech support and me not getting paid for what I did is just the cost of doing business. Well, that's a load of crap, Husqvarna. It is not the cost of doing business because your incompetent tech support doesn't know how to diagnose anything. Your territory manager said that the fuel was probably the culprit causing the issue. He said that he would warranty the unit, take care of the parts, pay me for my time for the circus show that your stupid tech support had me go through for hours on end, taking pictures, doing this, doing that, which was completely stupid and irrelevant to the repairs. So yes, I'm not very happy. Well, the supervisor, after he said he would get in contact with me, I was talking to him on a Wednesday, he said he would get back to me by Friday. That's been a month. And he hasn't gotten back to me. I've reached out multiple times and been ignored. He's not responding to me either. So I reached out to his boss last week. And guess what? I'm still being ignored on this whole thing. So the customer was pissed about the saw. I'm pissed about the saw. I ended up charging the customer for the parts. I ate the labor on the saw just to get the saw back out the door about 9 months later after the customer brought it in. So we have some major problems here. We either have Husqvarna with crappy fuel, which I know that there's been issues because obviously they've changed the design of the cans. It used to just be a cap. Now it's a cap and now it's a pull tab inside. And then we've got problems with Husqvarna. We've got problems with tech support, which is completely incompetent. We've got problems with our territory managers, which are telling us certain things, telling us to do all this service protocol or whatever and go through and diagnose stuff and send pictures to tech support, telling us that we're going to get reimbursed for parts and all of our labor, which we're not. And then when we don't get stuff taken care of, the promises that are made to us by our territory managers, we reach out to their bosses, which are responsible for overseeing their job duties. When these people are acting on behalf of Husqvarna, saying that they're going to pay and take care of these warranty claims, and then we get ignored by them, and then we reach out to their boss on top of it to try to get the issue resolved as professionally as possible, and we get ignored by them? Who wants to do business with a company like Husqvarna? Who wants to be a dealer and get screwed and not get paid for your warranty work? Who wants to be a customer and buy products that the company isn't going to stand behind the warranty that they say they are? Who's going to be selling crappy fuel and not stand behind it? We've got some serious problems here, Husqvarna. I've done everything I could to reach out and get this taken care of, and I'm getting completely ignored. My customer's getting completely shafted, and so am I. So I just want to make my YouTube family aware of what's going on. So if you're thinking about buying a Husqvarna, I would say right now, I don't have confidence in that. If you look at my shelf, I don't have any Husqvarna chainsaws. I'm not going to carry stuff and have to stand behind it when the customers expect me to fix their stuff when Husqvarna won't stand behind their products. When you have an incompetent tech support that wastes countless hours telling you to do stupid crap that is completely unrelated to the repairs just because they're reading from a screen and can't think for themselves. That's horrible. That's horrible business. I don't have that problem with steel. Steel's excellent to work with. I've had claims before where it's been obvious customer damage, and steel will still stand behind it and send me the parts goodwill for the customer, and then the customer just pays for my labor because they want their customers taken care of. Now, I don't want to keep saying bad stuff about Husqvarna. I think that they make a great product, but I'm telling you as a dealer, their tech support completely sucks. Their sales department completely sucks. They will not stand up for dealers, and they won't certainly stand up for their customers. Like I told my territory manager, how much money does it cost to get a new customer? It's a lot cheaper to retain an existing customer. But apparently they don't care. So that's my experience with Husqvarna. That's my opinions. And Husqvarna is more than free to reach out to me to resolve this issue. I've been trying to reach out to them and get this resolved for the better part of a year. I refuse to do any more Husqvarna warranty work in my shop until I'm paid. This whole situation's a bunch of crap, and it's because of incompetent employees that are too lazy to stand behind their word and reach out and resolve an issue. So with that, that's all I got to say about Husqvarna. I'll use them for parts. I'll use them for accessories. I won't be doing any warranty work, and I won't be buying more units from them. So just consider your buying choices when you're buying power equipment, and know that there is some value in having a company that will stand behind their product, a company that will take care of their dealers when they're doing warranty work for you to make sure your equipment can get back in the field. There's a lot of value in that. I've owned a small business doing landscaping before, and I know how important it is to get your equipment fixed right away and not have to worry about parts. So just know that Husqvarna let me down. They're continuing to let me down. And I've done everything in my power to give them the opportunity to make it right. So I just want to share my experience. Do with it what you want, but just know I'm not a happy Husqvarna customer. So with that, have a good rest of your day.